Tesla, PayPal, SpaceX, the Boring Company. The guy who names his child a code, the new richest man in the world. I learned so much preparing this video on him. Dear friends, good evening. My name is Zero to Hero, and you are listening to The Story of Elon Musk. If you want to learn the strategies behind successful businesses through real-world stories, then make sure you subscribe as I break down the key takeaways from every entrepreneur I feature on my YouTube channel.
He is the man who wants to die on Mars, just not on impact. He is the real-life Tony Stark who bet his entire fortune on electric cars when the world said they were golf carts. He is a genius, a troll, a savior, and a villain. But before the billions, before the rockets, and before the tweets that move markets, he was just a lonely boy in South Africa who was afraid of the dark. This is not just the story of a billionaire. This is the story of survival. This is the story of how a bullied, introverted kid from Pretoria became the architect of our future. This is the true story of Elon Musk. The saga begins on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. To the outside world, the Musk family seemed to have it all. His mother, May Musk, was a Canadian beauty queen and model who could command a room with a smile. His father, Errol Musk, was a brilliant, wealthy South African engineer and property developer. A man so successful, he reportedly owned a share of an emerald mine in Zambia.
But inside the Musk household, the atmosphere was far from glittering. Elon was the firstborn, a curious and quiet child. It was from his father, Errol, that Elon learned the language of physical things. Errol was a wizard with engineering. He taught Elon how to lay bricks, how to install plumbing, and how to wire electrical circuits. They weren't just playing catch, they were building the world. It is said that even as a toddler, Elon wasn't playing with toy trucks. He was building small cardboard rockets, staring at the sky, wondering why we weren't already there.
But Pretoria in the early 80s was a brutal place. Apartheid was at its height, and violence was in the air. For a young, sensitive boy like Elon, school was a war zone. He wasn't the star athlete. He wasn't the class clown. He was the weird kid in the back who corrected the teacher's math errors. He was socially awkward, displaying signs of what we now know as Asperger syndrome. He didn't understand social cues. While other kids were playing rugby, Elon was in his head, dreaming of galaxies. This made him a target. The bullying wasn't just name-calling. It was physical. It was dangerous. In one harrowing incident that would haunt him forever, a gang of boys hunted him down. They threw him down a flight of concrete stairs. As he lay crumpled at the bottom, gasping for air, they didn't stop.
They beat him until his face was swollen, kicking him until he blacked out. Elon was hospitalized for weeks, his face unrecognizable. He couldn't eat solid food.
but the physical pain paled in comparison to the psychological torment waiting for him at home.
Trapped between a war zone at school and a volatile home life with a father he would later describe as capable of evil, Elon found the only escape hatch that worked: his mind. He didn't just read, he consumed libraries. He would read for 10 hours a day. He devoured The Lord of the Rings, finding comfort in the idea that a small, insignificant hobbit could save the world. He read Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which planted a seed in his brain that would grow into SpaceX, the idea that humanity is cyclical, and we must preserve the light of consciousness before the darkness falls. He was close with his younger brother, Kimball, and his sister, Tosca. They were a tribe of 3, surviving the chaos together. But in 1980, their world fractured. Their parents divorced. In a decision he would later regret, a young Elon felt sorry for his father, who seemed lonely. He chose to move in with Errol. It was the beginning of a psychological endurance test that would harden his resolve to leave South Africa forever. Then, at age 10, a miracle happened. In a shopping mall in Pretoria, Elon saw a machine that didn't yell, didn't hit, and did exactly what it was told: a Commodore VIC-20. He begged his father for it. He threw a tantrum until Errol caved. The computer came with a manual on how to program in BASIC. The guide was supposed to take 6 months to complete. Elon stayed up for 3 days straight, barely sleeping, staring at the glowing cursor, and finished it in 60 hours. He had found his superpower. At 12 years old, while other kids were playing outside, Elon wrote a video game called Blastar, a Space Invaders clone. He sold the source code to a magazine called PC and Office Technology for $500. It was his first business deal. He didn't buy candy. He bought better equipment. He was already reinvesting. He was already planning his exit. By 1985, Elon was 14 and in the depths of a teenage crisis. The bullying hadn't stopped. They called him Muskrat. The cruelty of his peers and the strictness of his father were suffocating. He looked at the globe and saw only one beacon of hope: the United States of America. To Elon, America wasn't just a country. It was the land of possibility. It was the country that put men on the moon. It was the country where the computer revolution was happening. He knew that if he stayed in South Africa, he would be conscripted into the military to enforce apartheid, something he refused to do. He needed a way out. He discovered that his mother, May, was Canadian. That was the key. If he could get to Canada, America was just a border crossing away. In 1988, just before his 18th birthday, Elon Musk boarded a plane. He left behind the emeralds, the violence, and the father who told him he'd never amount to anything. He landed in Montreal with a backpack, a few $100s, and zero plan. He sought out a distant uncle, only to find the man had moved. Elon was effectively homeless. He stayed in youth hostels and survived on a few dollars a day. His father had cut him off financially. To survive, the rich kid from Pretoria had to take the dirtiest jobs in Canada. He worked on a farm shoveling grain. But the low point came at a lumber mill in British Columbia. Elon took the job because it paid the best, $18 an hour. The task? Cleaning the boiler room. He had to wear a hazmat suit and crawl through a tiny tunnel into a superheated chamber.
He shoveled steaming, toxic residue, a mix of sand and goop, while the heat threatened to cook him alive. It was dangerous work. If you stayed in too long, you could die. But Elon didn't quit. He shoveled his way through, fueling his determination to never be in this position again. Eventually, he enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. His brother Kimball followed him. For the first time, Elon was around people who respected his intellect. But Canada was just a stepping stone. In 1992, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. He dual majored in physics and economics, the two pillars of his future empire. He studied how the universe works and how money works. It is 1995. The internet is waking up. Elon moves to Silicon Valley to get a PhD at Stanford. He attends classes for exactly 2 days. He looks around, sees the Netscape IPO, and realizes that history is being written now. He drops out. He and Kimball rent a tiny office in Palo Alto. They sleep there because they can't afford an apartment. They shower at the local YMCA. They launch Zip2, a company that helps newspapers put their city guides online. It was like Google Maps before Google Maps existed. This is where the legend of Elon's work ethic is born. He possessed a maniacal drive. He coded at night when the website traffic was low. He slept on a beanbag next to his desk. Employees would arrive in the morning and have to kick him to wake him up. He was demanding, often tyrannical. If a coder wrote bad code, Elon wouldn't just correct it. He would rewrite the entire thing himself over the weekend. He walked around the office at 9 p.m., genuinely angry that people had gone home to their families. "We are changing the world," he'd think. "Why are you sleeping?" But it paid off. In 1999, the computer giant Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million in cash. Elon, at 28 years old, walked away with $22 million. He bought a McLaren F1, the fastest car in the world, and CNN filmed him taking delivery. He looked like the boy who had won the game. But he was just getting started. Most people would retire with $22 million. Elon bet it all on the next hand. He looked at the banking industry and saw dinosaurs. Transfers took days. Fees were high. He wanted to make money digital. He founded X.com, one of the world's first online banks. But down the street, in the same office park, a group of geniuses led by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin were building a rival service called Confinity. They fought a brutal war for customers. They burned millions giving away cash bonuses. Finally, realizing that mutual destruction was imminent, they merged. The new company was named PayPal. But peace didn't last. A culture war erupted. Elon wanted the platform on Microsoft servers. The others wanted Unix. The tension was palpable. In late 2000, Elon married his college sweetheart, Justine Wilson. They planned a honeymoon to Australia and the Olympics. As soon as Elon boarded the plane, the coup began. Peter Thiel and the board orchestrated a takeover. By the time Elon landed, he had been fired as CEO. Most men would have sued. Most men would have burned the company down out of spite. Elon didn't. He swallowed his pride, kept his shares, and advised the team. It was a masterclass in long-term thinking. In October 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. Elon Musk, the largest shareholder, netted $165 million. He was now tyro wealthy. But he was also jobless, and tragedy was about to strike. 2002 should have been the happiest year of his life. He was rich, he was free, and he had a newborn son, Nevada Alexander Musk. But at just 10 weeks old, Nevada stopped breathing. Sudden infant death syndrome. Elon held his son as he was taken off life support. The grief was shattering. Elon deals with pain by moving forward. He refused to grieve publicly. He built a wall around his heart. He threw himself into work with a frightening intensity. He didn't want to just build companies anymore. He wanted to save humanity. He looked at NASA's website, searching for the schedule for going to Mars. He found nothing. He realized that if he didn't do it, no one would. He decided to go to the source. Elon flew to Russia to buy refurbished ICBMs, nuclear missiles without the warheads, to send a greenhouse to Mars. The meetings were a disaster. The Russians didn't respect this young dot-com millionaire. They drank vodka toast after vodka toast, waiting for him to pass out. In one meeting, a Russian chief designer actually spat on Elon's shoes. They quoted him an exorbitant price, $8 million per rocket. They thought he was a fool with a checkbook. On the flight home, furious and humiliated, Elon opened his laptop. He created a spreadsheet. He realized the raw materials for a rocket only cost 3% of the sales price. He turned to his partners and said, "I think we can build it ourselves." In 2002, he founded SpaceX. The goal wasn't money. The goal was to make humanity a multi-planetary species. 2 years later, in 2004, he met two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, who had an idea for an electric car company called Tesla Motors. Elon put in $6.5 million, most of the initial funding. He became the chairman. He was now running 2 hardware startups. In the history of business, this is considered suicide. Car companies go bankrupt. Rocket companies blow up. Elon was doing both. By 2007, Hollywood took notice. Robert Downey Jr., preparing for the role of Iron Man, visited SpaceX. He saw a man who was seizing the future by the throat. He saw the eccentricity, the genius, and the danger. He modeled his Tony Stark on Elon Musk. Elon was becoming a celebrity. But behind the magazine covers, his world was collapsing. 2008 was the year the world fell apart. The financial crisis vaporized credit, and for Elon Musk, it was a nightmare. SpaceX had launched the Falcon 1 rocket 3 times. Launch 1, failure. Launch 2, failure. Launch 3, failure. He had run out of money. He had enough parts for one last rocket. If the 4th launch failed, SpaceX was dead. At the same time, Tesla was bleeding out. The Roadster was too expensive to build. The company had weeks of cash left. And his personal life imploded. He filed for divorce from Justine. The tabloids were vicious. He was sleeping on friends' couches, borrowing money for rent. He had $165 million in 2002. By late 2008, he had nothing. September 28, 2008, the fourth launch. The atmosphere at Mission Control was suffocating. The rocket cleared the tower. The first stage separated. The second stage ignited. It reached orbit. The team erupted in tears. They had done the impossible. But Tesla was still dying. It was Christmas Eve 2008. Elon had hours to close a funding round, or the company would file for bankruptcy the next morning. He put the last of his own money in. He called in every favor. At the 11th hour, the deal closed. 2 days later, NASA called. They awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to resupply the space station. Elon Musk had been saved by the bell. Having survived the fire, Elon rose from the ashes. In 2012, Tesla launched the Model S. It wasn't just a good electric car, it was the best car ever made, winning Motor Trend Car of the Year. It broke the Consumer Reports rating scale. Tesla went public, and the stock began its climb. At SpaceX, he did what everyone said was impossible. He didn't just launch rockets, he landed them. When the first Falcon booster landed upright on a drone ship in the middle of the ocean, the world realized that science fiction had become reality. He wasn't satisfied. He launched OpenAI to safeguard AI. He started Neuralink to merge brains with computers. He started the Boring Company because he hated traffic, and sold 20,000 flamethrowers just for the joke. But with great power came great volatility. As his influence grew, so did the noise. In 2016, he joined Donald Trump's advisory council, hoping to influence policy from the inside. When the U.S. pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, Elon quit in protest. "Climate change is real," he tweeted. "Leaving Paris is not good for America or the world." His personal life became tabloid fodder. He dated Amber Heard. Then, in 2018, he went on the Joe Rogan Experience. He took one puff of a joint. The internet exploded. Tesla stock dipped. The Air Force launched an investigation into his security clearance. He started a relationship with the avant-garde singer Grimes. In May 2020, they had a son. They named him XAA12. It was a riddle, a code, a symbol of a man who sees the world differently than the rest of us. 2020 changed everything. While the world locked down, Tesla scaled up. The stock went parabolic. SpaceX became the first private company to fly astronauts to the ISS. In January 2021, the news broke. Elon Musk had surpassed Jeff Bezos. He was the richest man in the history of the world, with a net worth over $190 billion. His response? He tweeted, "How strange." And then, well, back to work. He had conquered Earth. He was conquering space. He needed a new playground. In April 2022, Elon made a shocking offer: $44 billion to buy Twitter. He claimed it was to save free speech. He tried to back out, citing bots. A legal battle ensued. But on October 27, 2022, he walked into Twitter HQ carrying a porcelain sink. "Let that sink in," he tweeted. He fired the executives. He slept on the floor of the office again. He demanded hardcore performance. He tore the company down to rebuild it in his image. And amidst the chaos, he welcomed another child, a daughter named Exa Darksiderel, nicknamed Y. Today, Elon Musk stands as the most polarizing figure of our time. To some, he is a reckless billionaire playing God. To others, he is the only one bold enough to save us. From the bottom of a concrete staircase in Pretoria to the cockpit of a starship bound for Mars, one thing is certain. Elon Musk is not done. He will never be done. This was the story of the boy who wanted to go to the stars and actually built the ladder. Between space tourism, electric transport, and controversies, he divides opinion. Some see him as dangerous, others as a visionary genius. That was the story of Elon Musk. If you want to learn the strategies behind successful businesses through real-world stories, then make sure you subscribe, as I break down the key takeaways from every entrepreneur I feature on my YouTube channel, Zero to Hero.